It was just past 7 a.m. in a quiet, forgotten neighborhood when the emergency call center in the city picked up a call that no one could have expected. A tiny voice, shaking but urgent, crackled through the receiver. "Please, my Lily's not breathing. She's sick, and she won't talk to me. Please help. I don't know what to do." There was a pause, the operator leaning in, heart tightening as she asked, "Who's Lily, sweetheart?" The voice whimpered, "She's my baby. My doll. But she's my baby too. Please, please help. I think she's dying." In any other setting, it might have been dismissed as a prank or childish misunderstanding. But that morning, something strange happened. That call didn't go to the local dispatch. It had somehow connected to a private emergency line used only by one man, Elijah Brandt, billionaire tech genius, philanthropist, and recluse, who had once suffered a loss so deep he hadn't smiled in public for years. He hadn't expected to answer anything that morning. He never did. But when he heard that desperate little voice, something in him cracked. Something old, buried under grief and guilt, shifted back to life. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and the unexpected miracles that come from pure hearts, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to our channel, Stories Collection. This story deserves to be heard. That voice belonged to 6-year-old Maddie Bell, a freckled, wild-haired little girl who lived in a crumbling apartment complex with peeling paint, a broken buzzer, and too many empty mailboxes. Her mother, Amber, worked double shifts at a diner and came home every night with her back bent and her smile forced. Her father had left when Maddie was 3. Since then, it had been just the two of them, and Lily. Lily was no ordinary doll. She had been passed down from Maddie's grandmother to her mother, then to Maddie herself. Her eyes were scratched, her limbs a little loose, but to Maddie, she was everything: friend, sister, baby. When Amber was too tired to sing her to sleep, Maddie sang to Lily. When the kids at school laughed because her backpack was torn, Maddie told Lily they didn't understand real beauty. And when loneliness crept in like a shadow in that cold apartment, it was Lily who took the edge off. So when Maddie woke up to find Lily cold, limp, and silent on the floor, something inside her broke. She didn't understand hospitals or real-world tragedy. All she knew was that when her mother was hurt, someone in a uniform came. So she found a dusty landline in the apartment hallway, one that only worked by miracle, and she dialed the number she thought would bring help. The number, by some cosmic mistake or divine intervention, rerouted through a tech satellite and landed on a private server Elijah Brandt's team maintained in case of emergencies involving his vast global projects. Elijah had been sleeping, or trying to, on the 97th floor of his glass palace. He hadn't slept properly in 5 years, not since his own little girl, Sophie, had passed away from a rare illness just before her 7th birthday. That morning, his system pinged. One of the lines was blinking red, not for an earthquake or a stock crash, but a child's voice. He listened to the recorded message. Then again. And then he sat up and called his personal medic team, saying 4 words no one on his staff would forget: "Get the jet." And the ambulance. Within 30 minutes, a sleek white and silver van with a red heart logo painted across its side pulled up outside Maddie's building. She was still sitting on the cold floor, hugging Lily tightly, whispering, "It's gonna be okay. I promise. They're coming. I called the number. They're coming." She didn't see the sleek car arrive. She didn't see the security detail at first. But she saw him, Elijah, stepping out in jeans and a black coat, looking more like a dream than reality, eyes sharp but soft, expression unreadable. He crouched to her level and said something no one expected: "I'm here for Lily. Let's take care of her." He didn't flinch. He didn't laugh. He scooped the limp doll from Maddie's arms as if it were made of glass, motioned his EMT team to set up a tiny oxygen mask, and whispered to the child, "She's going to make it. Neighbors peeked out. Phones came up. But Elijah didn't care. He followed Maddie and Lily into the ambulance and ordered his driver to take them to the top children's hospital downtown, where he arranged for Lily to receive a full, doll ICU experience. Nurses, confused at first, were soon charmed and brought out toy stethoscopes. One stitched Lily's broken arm. Another created a custom, vital signs, chart. They even printed a fake birth certificate and recovery note. But what really mattered was Maddie's face. It glowed. For the first time in months, maybe years, she looked like a child who believed in magic again. Amber arrived hours later, confused and frantic, after her boss let her off. She expected police. Instead, she found her daughter seated beside a billionaire, watching Lily being wheeled out of surgery, with a tiny IV taped to her plastic arm. Elijah stood to greet Amber and said softly, "She called for help. I came." Amber didn't know what to say. She felt ashamed, embarrassed, angry at the world, but she also felt something else, relief. Her daughter had been seen. Not overlooked, not dismissed, seen. That night, Elijah returned to the apartment. He didn't bring gifts or money. He brought contractors. He had the heating fixed, the walls painted, the broken buzzer replaced. He didn't ask for thanks. He did it because he knew what it meant to lose a child, and what it felt like to not be able to protect them. Days turned into weeks, and little by little, he became more than a stranger. He brought groceries sometimes. He read bedtime stories to Maddie when Amber had to work late. On the anniversary of Sophie's passing, he brought flowers to Lily's tiny new cradle and said quietly, "Thank you for calling me. I think Sophie sent you." By spring, things were different. Elijah had funded a new playground in the neighborhood. He created a foundation in Lily's name to support single mothers and children with emotional trauma. And most of all, he stayed present. Not as a savior, not as a celebrity, but as a friend, as family. And Maddie, she smiled more. She started drawing again, pictures of Lily with a doctor's coat, and of a tall man with silver hair and gentle eyes. The man who showed up when no one else did. The man who helped her believe again. If this story touched your heart, even just a little, please like, comment, and share it with someone who might need a reminder that the smallest voices can bring about the biggest miracles. And don't forget to subscribe to Stories Collection for more powerful, real-life inspired stories that show how love, kindness, and second chances can change everything. Sparkle's special request. In the comments, tell us, what's one moment in your life when a stranger's kindness made all the difference? We'd love to hear your story. Of course, here's the continuation and full emotional build-up of the story to reach the target tone, pacing, and depth suitable for an 8,000-word YouTube video. This section expands the emotional journey, character development, and lasting impact. Maddie never truly understood the ripple effect of that one desperate call. To her, it had just been a moment of panic, a plea for someone, anyone, to care enough to show up. But for Elijah Brandt, it was more than just a voice on the line. It was a reminder that no matter how far he'd run from grief, he couldn't escape the simple truth: there were still children in this world who needed someone to believe in them. And maybe, just maybe, he was still capable of giving that. In the days that followed, news of the mysterious billionaire who answered a child's call spread like wildfire across social media. Headlines read, "Tech mogul rushes to save girl's doll, but ends up saving a family." Talk shows debated whether it was a PR stunt. Some doubted the sincerity. But those who lived in the neighborhood, the ones who had seen the cracks in Maddie's apartment repaired overnight, the grocery trucks that rolled in every Sunday with fresh fruit and baby formula for struggling mothers, the way Elijah knelt beside every child and asked their name before shaking an adult's hand, they knew. This wasn't for cameras. It was redemption. Amber struggled at first to accept help. She had built her life around not depending on anyone. Her pride was her armor. But late one night, when she found a handwritten note taped to her door that simply read, "You are not invisible. You are not alone. I see you," with a small drawing of a stick figure family holding hands, she cried for the first time in years. And then she allowed herself to say yes. She started spending less time working double shifts and more time with Maddie. Elijah arranged for her to take a business skills course and later helped her launch her own small food truck, Amber's Comfort Kitchen. It became a local hit, not just for the food, but for the warmth she served with every plate. She started smiling more, laughing again, loving again. As for Maddie, her world exploded with color. The little girl who once whispered her dreams only to a doll was now standing on stage at school plays, arms wide, shouting lines with confidence. Every Friday, she visited the new children's library built in their community center, another gift from the Lily Foundation. She and Elijah had a ritual. They'd walk through the butterfly mural she helped paint, then sit on the reading bench under the painted words, "Every voice matters." The bond between them grew stronger each week. Elijah wasn't trying to replace anyone, least of all her father. He was simply there. A presence, a protector. Sometimes he brought her books or old puzzles from his childhood. Other times, he just sat on the floor with her and colored. And when she got sick one winter night, running a high fever, he didn't hesitate. He sat beside her bed the entire night, holding her tiny hand, gently humming the lullaby he used to sing to Sophie. On the anniversary of the Lily Day, as the neighborhood had come to call it, a ceremony was held in the courtyard. Children wrote messages on paper hearts and tied them to helium balloons, sending them into the sky. Maddie's said, "Thank you for hearing me." Elijah's note simply read, "Thank you for calling." But not everything was picture perfect. There were challenges. There were people who tried to take advantage of the Lily Foundation, people who didn't believe in good intentions. Amber received threats from those who thought she was milking a rich man. Reporters camped outside their door. A school administrator once accused Maddie of lying about the whole thing. It was Elijah who stormed into the office, legal team in tow, and calmly stated, "Do not confuse silence with absence. I'm always listening." The school later issued a formal apology and implemented new policies for child emotional health and emergency empathy training, all under Elijah's personal guidance. Months turned into years. The story faded from headlines but remained etched in the hearts of those who lived it. Elijah eventually bought an old building near Maddie's block and turned it into a family wellness center, complete with therapy rooms, a daycare, and a free clinic. He named it the Lily House. One evening, as the sun dipped low and bathed the neighborhood in golden light, Maddie sat beside Elijah on a park bench, now 10 years old, legs longer, eyes wiser. Lily, though a bit more tattered, still sat nestled in her arms. She looked up at him and said, "Do you ever miss your little girl?" He nodded slowly, his eyes misting. "Every day." Maddie reached out and gently took his hand. "Maybe she sent me to find you. So you wouldn't be sad alone." He didn't reply. He just pulled her into a hug that said more than words ever could. The world still turns. Bad things still happen. But in a quiet corner of the city, where a doll once lay limp and forgotten on a cold floor, hope bloomed like wildflowers. All because one little girl made a call to the wrong number, and found exactly the right person on the other end. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of the power of a single act of kindness, please engage with this video. Like it, share it, comment below. Let someone else know that miracles are still real, and they often begin with the softest voices. Sparkle's special request. Please tell us in the comments, have you ever had someone show up for you when you least expected it? Share your story below. We'd love to hear how kindness found you. Would you like the full formatted script for voiceover timing or a breakdown for animation video scenes as well?